Good morning, world, and those who inhabit it. I am CJ, and I am your host.
DC.
Yes.
Sorry, I was still thinking about your analogy. I was like, wow, that's a deep intro. All those who inhabit the world. I was like, mad.
Well, good morning, world, and those who inhabit it. It's a reference from something. I can't remember what though.
Ah,
But another week has passed in the NBA, and what a weird fucking week it's been.
yeah, what a
That's
weird
not a
week.
good omen.
what a weird week.
What a weird fucking week. Right? should we start from the Sunday?
Please.
So Sunday had Boston versus Denver. Boston beat Denver. They held Denver to an 8-point fourth quarter and snapped their 8-game win streak. Celtics ended up finishing the game on a 31-3 run. You had 20 from Jaylen Brown. You had 20. I almost said James Brown again. keep, keep seeing that name. 28 from Jalen Tatum. You had only 7 points from Aaron Gordon. 17. Another triple double from Nikola Jokic with 17 points, 11 assists, 10 rebounds. But there was no Murray because he was injured from the last game, and he's out for the season. Actually, I don't know if we mentioned that last time round, but he's out for the season. Then you had San Antonio Spurs versus the Dallas Mavericks. DeMar DeRozan hit a game winner. He had 33 points. He had 25 from Murray, not the Denver Murray this time. And you had Porzingis with 31, Luka Doncic with 29. Then you had LA Clippers versus Detroit Pistons. There's no Kawhi Leonard, which kind of happens throughout the entirety of this week, I think. Paul George went off, though. He had 32 points. He also had 33 from Morris. He had Josh Jackson with 26 points out of nowhere. And 25 by a player named Bay. Cool for Detroit.
Yeah.
Then you had Charlotte versus Atlanta. There was no Young, but you had 32 from Bogdanovich, 20 from Capella. There was 23 from Bridges, who also had a highlight dunk on Capella. Wow. And then you had 18 from Rozier. I think Atlanta won that game. Don't quote me. I didn't actually write that down. And then you had, we had New Orleans Pelicans versus Cleveland. You had Zion with 38 points. Brandon Ingram with 27 points. You had Kevin Love with 19 and Dean Wade with 21.
Yeah.
Not quite my D Wade, but
he always throws me off. I'm always like, D Wade, what? And I'm like,
when did he left the team a while ago? He was traded. It's very upsetting for Zion because he keeps putting on monster numbers, but apparently he just doesn't equate into wins. I mean, it did in this case, but throughout the season, nothing. It's only his second season, and he's averaging I want to say 26, 27 points a game.
Yep.
It's ridiculous. Then you got Monday when you had the Denver Nuggets versus the Golden State Warriors. This is when we were updated. Murray's injury is actually an ACL tear, the dreaded 3-letter acronym. But in the same game, Curry managed to pass Wilt Chamberlain on the Golden State Warriors all-time scoring list with his 53 points.
Yeah.
53. Crazy.
Yeah, his run is nuts right now.
I'm pretty sure that's 1 point shy of Durant's career high. Which is funny, isn't it? Mentioning that Durant's career high is like 50 something points. That's another
54.
Thing.
Yeah, it's 54.
Yeah, 54.
Yeah.
Then you had the New York Knicks. New York. They may as well give them a new name because they're a different team now. The New York Knicks against LA Lakers. This was the third game in a row that New York won. And that was behind Randall's 34 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. You had Andre Drummond just scoring 3 points with 10 rebounds, 21 from Dennis Schroeder, and 14 from Kyle Kuzma. So not really much production from LA. You'll see throughout this entire week, it feels like LA, without AD and LeBron, just turn up to games like the Brooklyn game, like the Utah game, which happened yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we had Philly versus Dallas. You had JJ Redick's Mavericks debut after he mentioned how frustrated he was there. Funnily enough, he was planning on going to Brooklyn. But in all fairness, it's because his family lived there, and this was before all this bullshit. Like he thought he was going to get traded a while ago. So I guess when you're traded, you're going to get to choose. I guess.
Yeah.
Embiid had 36 points, and Luka Doncic had 32. Washington versus Utah next. The Wizards end up snapping. At the game they play right after I mentioned that they're on a 24-game home win streak. The Utah Jazz lose to the Washington Wizards at home.
The Wizards.
Russell Westbrook had a 25-point, 14 rebound, 14 assist game. To add to that, you had Bradley Beal with 34, Donovan Mitchell with 42, and 33 from Bogdanovic. Cool. Then Sacramento versus New Orleans Pelicans. You had 43 from Fox, 30 from Zion, and 34 from Brandon Ingram. Pels barely held on at the end to get the victory there. Then you got Tuesday between Brooklyn and Minnesota. This is the game that was postponed due to the shooting of Delonte White, which was absolute bullshit, by the way. I just want to put that out there. blackmatters.co. Sorry. No Kyrie in this game. He left. He didn't want to play due to personal issues, probably because Dennis Schroeder was very mean to him. Durant had 31 points, 23 from Joe Harris. He had 27 from Anthony Edwards. There was no Karl Anthony Towns, but D'Lo came off the bench with 15. It's also worth mentioning in the post conference, Anthony Edwards was told that A-Rod, former New York Yankees shortstop, purchased part of the Timberwolves ownership, and Anthony Edwards did not know who the fuck he was.
Yep.
So, great stuff. That's what you get for being a steroid junkie. LA Clippers versus the Indiana Pacers. Paul George. This was Paul George's fourth straight game with 30 plus. In this game, he had 36. Still no Kawhi. For Indiana, Karis LeVert had 26. He had 29 from, I want to say, Malcolm Brogdon, and 20 from Sabonis. Unfortunately, that just wasn't enough to take down the Clippers, who are now on a 6-game win streak. Then you had Boston versus Portland. You had Tatum, who had a clutch 32 points. He hit a three with 7 seconds left on the clock. He had 24 from Jaylen Brown and 28 from 28 from Damian Lillard, 16 from CJ, and 20 from Norman Powell. But they still didn't win. They lost to Boston again. Right, LA Lakers versus Charlotte Hornets. Kuzma had 24 points. You had Martin from the Charlotte, one of the twins, I didn't know which one, had 17. And then you had 19 from Graham. Not other than Kuzma scoring 24 points. That's all I really care about. Wednesday, you had Dallas Mavericks versus Memphis. Luka hit the most off-balance game winner I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
that was 3 of his 29 points. But yeah, go on.
Just that shot. That was stupid but funny. Like the way he hit that, I was like, well, never mind.
3 points is 3 points. 3 points is 3 points. Usually you try and get that high because they were down by 2, right?
Yeah, down by 2.
3 was a win. So generally you try and go for, a high percentage inside shot. But I mean, you do.
Not if you Luka.
And
the hand is hot. The hand is hot.
Yeah, he had 29 points in that game, 21 from Porzingis. You had, at the time, these teams were the 7 and 8 seed, so it was a pretty important game for both teams. You had Jonas Valanciunas. Was it? Is it? No, he doesn't matter. 17 points from Ja Morant. Then you got Philly versus Brooklyn. This is a very important game because it's like top of the East. Kyrie with 37, Embiid with 39. Battle for the first seed. There was no KD in this game, however. They're playing musical chairs. Very interesting, the fact that double game Kyrie plays, Brooklyn lose. Golden State Warriors versus OKC. You got Curry with 42 points. He had 11 threes in this game. Draymond had a triple-double of 12 points, 16 assists, and 10 rebounds. Cool. Denver versus Miami. Denver beat Miami behind Jokic's triple-double of 17 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. They also had 25 from Michael Porter Jr. and 16 from Aaron Gordon. So despite losing Murray, they're still beating some good teams. Then LA Clippers managed to stretch their win to 7 from a Reggie Jackson game winner who also had 29 points. There was no Paul George or Kawhi. So Detroit were just taken down by Reggie Jackson and others. Jeremy Grant for the Detroit Pistons had 28 points. Then we move on to Thursday, which was the day that LaMarcus Aldridge decided to hang up his boots. We'll go over that a little bit later. But Boston versus LA Lakers. Obviously, one of the marquee matchups in the NBA has ever seen. But obviously, two very different teams right now, especially with Boston beating LA now for their 5th straight win. Jaylen Brown had 40. Jason Tatum had just 14, but all starters were in 10-plus points. You had 19 from Horton Tucker for the LA, 18 by Gasol. Yeah, pretty much it. LA are actually 5-5 since in the last 10 games. It's not terrible considering their roster, in all fairness. Right, then you had Golden State Warriors versus Cleveland. This was Golden State Warriors' 4th straight win. Curry had 33 points. That's all that's worth mentioning.
Curry played, that is all.
Yeah, people played. And Curry scored 33 points. It's important because I think he's scored 10 in a row, 30 points plus. It's a new record or something. Something like that.
I'll have a look. I think Steph's last 10 games has been incredible.
Yeah, it's almost.
I mean, it had to be, but
MP. Yeah, I mean,
MPV.
They're still 9.
So now here was the stat I wanted to talk about. So in this week, Steph Curry hit 36 threes. That compares to Orlando Magic, who hit 33. Sacramento Kings, who hit 33. The Wizards, who hit 29s, and the Pelicans, who hit 26. Wow. In the last 5 games, he's averaging 42.6 points per game on a 58% field goal, 54% from 3, 91% free throw.
And yeah, his team is still 9th. They're gonna be stuck in the play-in tournament.
Yeah, so his last 10 games is 47, 33, 42, 53, 38, 32, 41, 37, 36.
So bad for the Memphis Grizzlies if they end up, because at the moment it'll be a Memphis Grizzlies and Warriors for that play-in tournament. And if Memphis Grizzlies end up losing again in a play-in tournament,
again, oh no,
it's gonna be terrible. Yes, so where were we going to say? Then you had Milwaukee versus Atlanta. Milwaukee take down Atlanta. This was Giannis's return after missing 6 games due to a knee injury. He had just 15 points. You had 23 from Drew Holiday, 10 from Chris Middleton. And who the fuck is Boy? I've wrote that. Oh, Bogdanovich. The G looks like a Y. Boy? Right.
Who the fuck is Boy?
The Boy scores 28 points. Trae Young just had 15. Then you had Phoenix versus Sacramento. Booker gets his first 40-win season. He had 23 points. You had 26 from DeAndre Ayton. And Chris Paul had 13 points and 11 assists. De'Aaron Fox had 27 points. And Buddy Hield had 24. Then we move on to Friday. Philly versus LA Clippers. You had Embiid with 26 snap. LA Clippers 7-game win streak. Paul George had 37 points, so he's still scoring, and there's still no Kawhi. He's practically missed the entirety of this week. Brooklyn versus Charlotte, though. You got Miles Bridges, who scored a career-high 33 points. KD, who had 25 points and 11 rebounds, I want to say. 26 from Joe Harris. Terry Rozier had 27 points. Kyrie just 12. No Harden still.
Where's it? So is Harden injured?
I think he's got like hamstring strain or something. Something like that. Then you had New York versus Dallas. This was New York's 5th game in a row with a win. Randall had 44 points. RJ Barrett had 24 points. Luka Doncic had 22. Porzingis had 23. Utah versus Indiana. This is the game that Donovan Mitchell was injured, but before he was injured, he managed to score 22 points for them. And Utah survived the Indiana Pacers despite Karis LeVert's 24 points and Sabonis' 22. Move on to Saturday. Last night, you got LA versus Utah, but it wasn't good enough for them because they couldn't take down LA, who had 27 behind Drummond, and Schroeder, who actually took over OT with 25 points. No Donovan Mitchell. There was no AD or LeBron James either. But it's worth mentioning that Donovan Mitchell's injury isn't serious. It's like a little ankle tweak. He's all right. He should be back soon.
That's good.
Like a week or so. So he's all right. And that's great news to hear if you're the Utah Jazz. Then, what's not good news, though, is for the Phoenix Suns, who end up getting their worst defeat of the season due to the San Antonio Spurs. This was like their chance to go first in the West and kind of screwed it up. There was no DeRozan either.
Wow.
Spurs hand Phoenix their worst loss in the season. Chris Paul had just 6 points and 6 assists. And it's not like the Phoenix Suns were like decided to load manage this game or not. Everyone was playing. Booker had 15 himself, but it wasn't just enough to take down Rudy Gay's 19 points off the bench. Then you had Memphis versus Milwaukee. You had Grayson Allen, who had 7 threes to total his 26 points. They blow out the Bucks despite Giannis scoring 28 points. Ja Morant had 13 and Dylan Brooks had 21. Then the last game, and possibly the game of the week, was Golden State Warriors versus Boston, where Curry scored 47 points, 33 of which were threes. He scored this ridiculous left-handed
thing. Yeah, it was.
It was in the line though. He was stepping on the line. So Tatum had 44 himself. There was no Jaylen Brown. Andrew Wiggins scored 22, but that was fine. Boston made it out with a victory. Barely. It was a really good game. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. So that was the week. I remember seeing that on Twitter. Like everyone was like lauding this game. Like, we need more of this. Yeah. So players and teams of the week, shall we, David? What? Who is your player of the week?
Jesus Christ!
I feel like I know which one you're gonna pick because.
For me, obviously, I'm gonna say Steph because
Yeah, I would say
the
Steph
week he's had. I was trying to think. Trying to think of anyone else, but like he's it's the thing is it's these big performances and he kind of has to, like, even against Boston yesterday, like no matter how well he's hitting, it's still not enough to carry the whole team.
Another thing worth mentioning is that Wiseman's out for the rest of the season as well.
Yeah,
so he is. Like a little inside presence and a little bit of scoring, so he has to do even more now, which is ridiculous. This team is going to be insane next season, though. If they end up getting another lottery pick that they could trade, Wiseman with a season under his belt, Klay Thompson back.
Touch wood,
Don't know what's happening with Draymond because I think he's a free agent this summer.
He'll probably be time.
Was it last summer? I don't know. I can't remember.
I think it's this summer.
But I think it's this summer. So they're going to be a team to really watch for this season. I've been hearing a lot of talk about Steph Curry lately, about how Stephen A's talking about whether he's the best point guard in the league. Yeah, it's him or Damian Lillard. I don't.
Yeah.
There's no one else I have on my list. They're the two that I could probably interchange every now and again, depending on who's on a hot run.
Yeah. I think
And
they
right
both
now,
do different things well, and I think right now Steph is on his own level.
This week alone has shot Steph right up people's MVP rankings. Which
his last 10 games, he's averaging like just insane numbers.
But it's not been good enough for his team.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think
that's what's stopping his MVP.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think the fact they're 9th in the West, and only if Pelicans, if other teams are doing better, they generally would be just out of playoff contention altogether, which is quite mad when you're looking at a player you've got there who's average. He's usually giving you an average of at least 30 for the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, there has been also talks that Steph Curry might leave this season.
Really?
Yeah, he might ask to get traded or something.
It's kind of funny because Steve Kerr said
vague rumors, and then people have been talking about it quite a lot around the NBA stratosphere about moving Curry. Maybe Golden State want to actually start betting on the future rather than trying to run it again now because I think it's too old.
So what's funny about that is, so I did see that Steph said you never know what could happen, and then I also saw Steve.
Probably what sparked all these.
Yeah, and then I also saw Steve a quote from Steve Kerr that was like, "There are only 3 players in the world that you don't trade," and that was Giannis, Steph, or LeBron, and. So, I think it's one of them. I think if you're the Warriors, you've got to weigh up where you are and where you want to be, and if doing that is best for both parties. I mean, obviously, I was going to say, obviously, it's
I'd only trade Steph Curry if he wanted to go.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Situation, if I was the Golden State Warriors, is if he wanted to go, then don't keep him. But and let him go, and probably let him go where he wanted to go. I'd want something for it.
I think if you're Golden State, you're really looking at if he hasn't asked to be traded, then we're not trading him because realistically, you're never going to get.
I'm keeping him. I don't care. How
realistically, you're never going to get back. Look at what he's doing now. Are you going to get back anyone that provides that consistency and that efficiency?
Fuck no.
Exactly, and even if you get, and I think it's one of the things about trades where people say, even if you try and trade one to get like a good few pieces, you never end up getting the value back. And I think if Steph Curry wants to go, though, I mean, in that case,
see, that's
if you're Golden State,
that really changes it. But
if you're Golden State, then you have to try to look at that.
I don't really feel like Steph wants to go. Like he said,
I don't know where
he said, never say never because it covers.
Because you never say never. Like anything generally could happen.
It's a standard answer to that question. But yeah. But there's also what was it? So I heard, I can't remember if it was off the jump or something. Someone basically saying that they should just rest him for the rest of the season now, because you're gonna make the play-in tournament and then lose in the first round, like at the best case scenario. And I'm like, yeah, but you also there's a culture aspect to it where you don't want to. I mean, you did it last season, but also you don't want to be known as that team that just gives up and just starts resting players. Because look what that did. Look at what that's doing to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And despite all the other shit that we will get into, they just rest all their players all the time. And Kyrie, oh my god, I have such a problem with Kyrie right now. Such a fucking problem with Kyrie.
But yeah, I think.
I don't want to have a problem, but I do.
Steph rested. We rested. Golden State did the rest Steph thing last season.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that season they had no chance to playoffs. This season you've got a chance. I think it's a negative outlook to just say, well, we're not going to win a championship. Let's just bench everyone who's even let's just bench Steph.
No, but then also you give those players playoff experience.
Yeah,
which is invaluable. I mean, Wiseman isn't playing and is out for the rest of the season, but he'll still be there. He'll still be able to get that atmosphere.
Yeah, and I think
like that change, and that's important because. Go on.
I was gonna say, I think a first round exit where you get a chance to look at the playoffs and look at how that's going to change. I think experiencing how different the playoff basketball is will give them the kind of experience and thing they need. Essentially, that can be motivation to push on to next season.
It is
knowing you've been there, You have to act like you've been there before, but you can't do that unless you've been there before. So,
yeah.
And I think
which Which brings me onto the next thing that we need to talk about.
Okay.
Which is the Phoenix Suns. Do you give them a realistic chance on winning out the West? Bearing in mind what you just said about playoff experience. Because no one bar Chris Paul has valuable playoff experience.
I mean,
Devin Booker's only just had a 40-game win season. And all of his seasons now, DeAndre just fucking got here. He's basically out. His head's still wet from the fucking womb. And
we've got Devin Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, who obviously...
Jay Crowder went to... That he would be valuable. Him and Chris Paul are valuable.
And then you've got Jalen Smith, Jevon Carter, Dario Saric. I think...
Saric has had playoff experience.
Yeah, I don't know. So if you ask... So is this in terms of will they win the Western Conference?
I'm not asking whether they win it. I'm asking you, do you give them a good chance of winning it? Like, on your list, who's at your top? Who's the most likely going down? Say your top 5, like who has the best chance of leaving the West?
Okay, let me have a look at the West. Okay, so I think for me, in terms of 1 and 2, I've got Lakers and Clippers.
Which I feel like is
where I think right now I've got Lakers ahead if everyone comes back from injury and can play. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there are other incremental factors in that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then looking through, I mean, I'd probably put them the 3rd.
Right.
I mean, this would, but then I guess the injury. Oh shit! That's
see. I'll tell you what mine was. It's literally. So I had the Lakers in first because they're playing well in crunch time, but they seem to don't care against any other team. So they'll do well against Brooklyn. They'll do well against Utah. They'll do well against Miami, but they won't give a fuck against Cleveland and then lose. Yeah. Which is, if you haven't got a star player, is easy to do. But they're down there for the crunch time, so it's good, right? So I had LA first. Then I actually had above the Clippers, I had the Nuggets pre Jamal Murray injury.
Yeah.
Because since then they've lost quite a few games, and they were actually really. I mean, they're 1 game behind. They're 2 games behind them now. But and they're still winning. But but then the Clippers have had no Kawhi Leonard this year. So. But I feel like the Nuggets are obviously. They were the ones that got through last year,
and they've improved.
They've improved. Clippers, they've kind of improved this year, but I don't feel like they've improved to the same way the Nuggets did, and the Nuggets got further and beat them. So I'd have the Lakers, the Nuggets. What I did have, and now it's gone down. I'll have them. So Nuggets are my 5th option. Lakers, Clippers. 2nd, I'd have, I don't know, between Utah and Suns, because Suns beat them pretty well. And with this injury to Donovan Mitchell, I don't know what he's going to be like going in to the playoffs, whether it be weak, whether they're going to take their time just to let him recover or not.
Yeah.
So it's a toss-up between them, but I'll just say Jazz because they're the 1st seed right now. So they're my 3rd option, then the Suns, and then I'd put the Denver Nuggets.
I think that's a fair list. I think it's one of them that I keep looking at the Suns and I'm like, do I have them to beat the Clippers in a series? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like I don't know.
It's a tough one because like their players don't have the experience.
Yeah.
To really deal with those crunch time. But then again, you mentioned Chris Paul and you mentioned Jay Crowder, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe that might be enough.
They've got bits, yeah, I know, and I think sometimes. So basically, I think sometimes if you've got that fearless type of play where you can use your experience, but also use those type of hungry younger players and just say, okay, let's just see what happens. They could go on that type of run where they push for it. I think I'm wary of the Suns. I'm like, I want to see what happens to them when the pressure's on. And I think even like this week where Donovan Mitchell had gone down, I thought this is a good chance for them to kind of dial down and try and look at going to number 1 overall, but then they lost that, and I'm like, okay, and I think they've been putting good performances around them, but they also lost the Clippers, and then so I think it's one of them where like I know I'm definitely saying they could, and I'm definitely saying that obviously when you look at the top, whatever, like they're top 4 right now, top 5.
I mean, injuries do happen.
I know that's the thing, but like,
I mean, just ask the top 14.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's just like it depends on it really depends on their matchups, to be honest, at first. But yeah, I think if you can get a favorable draw, then I think when you do have someone like CP3 who can, get the best out of a team, they've got a great chance, and having him has been invaluable. But I still don't see them beating the Clippers in the series, the Lakers. I mean, the Nuggets are really unfortunate with their injuries because they've just added Aaron Gordon as well, which meant that I definitely wouldn't have had them over. I wouldn't have had the Suns over them in the series either. Now it's a little different, but yeah,
it is a little bit different. They'll lose a little bit of firepower. But yeah. Okay, let's move it to the East then. Who's your favorite? Well, firstly, I'd like to mention that my player of the week was Julius Randle because he's led his team to a 5-game win streak, and then now the 6th seed.
The Knicks are still doing well.
I actually have them. So I have the Sixers and Bucks above the Nets. I might get shot for that. I don't care.
No, not yet.
No one. There's no one here. There's no one outside my window. Ready? No. And then so Sixers, Bucks, Nets. I'd place the Celtics, and I'd put the Miami Heat then, and then the Knicks. I was almost tempted, but Miami's had a pretty bad run. We lost to fucking Minnesota, so not having a great time. But
yeah, that's probably a fair 5 right there, to be fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Celtics are absolutely killing it this week. I don't know what the fuck they did. They just turned it around out of nowhere, but I don't think I don't know what they're doing and if it's sustainable. But it is what it is, and I believe more in the Sixers and the Bucks coming out in the East than I do in the Nets.
Especially with the Nets defense issues, like I think
the defensive issues. They've got really good offense. I think they've literally got the best offense in the NBA.
They've got the best offense and one of the worst defenses. So I think when you look at that, it's like.
But I want to mention the reason they have one of the best offenses. Like their stats are a bit skewed when you say these 3 guys, and you have there's a trio. Because how often have they actually played together? I'd probably say a handful of times. Yeah.
If that, I think when Harden joined, he was him and KD for a bit, and then when Kyrie was playing, when they actually had the 3 of them, KD was out, and then we had Harden and Kyrie for a bit when they were on the run, and then I don't think they played 7, 8, maybe 9. I think exactly. It's way less games than they've played.
I feel like them as a throuple has been skewed a bit, but you know, there's one ball, so and isolation players just don't help. But yeah,
I think in a series it's going to be I think you're right about obviously the Bucks and Philly being up there above them, because I generally think if I'm looking at it in terms of like if they play to themselves, they can beat everyone in that. And especially like with Brooklyn, it's such a glaring issue. And obviously it's been made a little worse by things this week. But yeah, I don't see them stopping Joel. I don't see them stopping Giannis inside. I don't think that's and that's gonna hamper you. Like there's not much unless you can really shoot your way out of every single game, then
Exactly. I mean, Houston tried to do it and they ended up losing to Golden State. And they had CP3. Interestingly enough, that's what Phoenix had. Right, so let's talk about these Nets issues. So obviously, we had early on in the week, we had Marcus Aldridge abruptly announcing his retirement, which is a shock. Yeah. It turns out he had
irregular heartbeat.
An irregular heartbeat. So yeah, he was just like, yeah, nah, I ain't doing this, which is fair. I understand. Cool.
Yeah.
Good on him. Good on him. He had a great run. He had like 15 years, I think, in the league, mostly with Portland. Then moved to San Antonio.
Portland.
He was a very big free-time agent back then, but obviously he's regressed as years gone by. His situation reminds me a little bit of Chris Bosh's, where he had to cut his career short because of injuries, like similar like blood clots in his case. So he had to cut it short. What's also very interesting is back in the day, Portland in like 2009, they had Greg Oden, Brandon Roy, and LaMarcus Aldridge. All three of their careers have been cut short due to injuries. I mean, obviously, LaMarcus Aldridge had like 15 years.
Yeah.
But Brandon Roy had like a good couple 5-something years. Greg Oden didn't, before his career was hammered by knee injury. He didn't get a chance. But when they were all on the court, I think their record was something like 52-11. So it's like lost opportunity there. So that's a thought that I realized while looking up these kind of things. Like, damn. But yeah, great stuff from LaMarcus Aldridge, thinking about his health and his family and stuff like that, which is obviously what comes first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I got told that I have a irregular heartbeat, the last thing I'm thinking about doing is putting myself in danger.
Yeah, 100%. I think
he doesn't. Yeah, well, I mean, it further like, you know, says that he doesn't care about a ring. So
yeah, I think
that's not fair to say, because when it comes to health, you shouldn't really care about.
Yeah, I think at that point, that's when you just look at it and say, okay, like that decision has to be made. He's not going to put himself at harm for his, and jeopardize any chance he has to spend time with his family. So it's done. Which I mean, I respect that decision. The speed of it was obviously it was a bit of a shock to hear that, but
very quickly. I got it around 4:00 around here, so that means it was around midday Eastern time. I think it was 11 Eastern.
Yeah.
So it's pretty early in the morning. Mm-hmm. I think it was right after a game we found out or something. Like he felt weird during the game or something.
I think that's one of them where, as obviously an athlete or anyone, like if you don't feel right, you get something and then you find out, there is an issue. I think you find that out. I think for him, that doesn't seem to be instant. It was something's wrong. I'm not playing anymore. Okay, done.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can't say much about that. I mean, I know people want to, but
the one thing I also thought about, like thinking about that irregular heartbeat as well, is that being on that team is fucking stressful. Would not have helped him at all.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
got people taking off days because they feel like it.
Yeah, and I think I'm not gonna lie. I think a lot of it makes. I think even being on Brooklyn makes that decision a lot easier for you. Like you're like, I see a bunch of these guys doing whatever they want to do. I'm not well. I'm gone. That's it. Yeah. It's just. But we made a joke. Like we were at the end of last episode, we were like, oh, I wonder what Brooklyn player is gonna cause headlines this week, and we were like, ha ha ha, and then you said Kyrie, and I was like, ha ha, fucking. I was like, oh, it could be anyone, because I was like, like these, because we like last week we had obviously the KD and fucking Michael Rappaport and Kyrie. Like that was 2 weeks ago, and then last week was Kyrie doing something. Like it's been a lot. Like a month ago, we had James Harden claiming he was the MVP, and now he ain't even playing anymore. So like.
Yeah.
And now the news is just all Brooklyn.
yeah, great stuff. So what was it? Saturday, wasn't it? It was last Saturday they had a game with the LA Lakers.
Yes.
And both Kyrie and Dennis Schroeder got ejected now. So they exchanged some words together with each other. And yeah, David, do you want to take this?
Okay, so I will do the so Schroeder was upset because he didn't get a call against Kyrie because Kyrie was literally reaching and leaning on him. Went to the refs, complained. Kyrie got into his face. Schroeder said, "Damn, nigga," or like move, like basically just like my guy.
God, like
God
damn with an AD, like God
damn, nigga, move. Basically, he just wanted to say like, yo, just give me my personal space, and then Kyrie
did not like
lost his shit.
You don't call me that. You don't know me like that.
Yeah, which then presumed that the semantics of the word doesn't matter. It's just whether you know him well enough to call him that. But he actually wasn't calling him that. He was just saying that as a phrase in my guy, move. And and then Kyrie took to Twitter afterwards and
spreading some Illuminati religious.
Got on his holy shit.
He got on his holy shit
and said, "Look, we are bigger than the N-word." And then obviously, people, it's the internet, so people then replied with, "Wasn't this you, fam?" And he's just Kyrie.
And there's a video of him calling people the N-word.
Videos,
multiple. But yeah, so to pick up from there, so then Kyrie decided to get the next game off. Lots of people thought it was lots of different reasons. Number one, obviously it happened. So I didn't know about. So people thought it was because of religion. Could have been religious reasons because he posted that stuff that alluded to religious things. So it's like, oh, maybe he's taking a day off for religious reasons. It's like,
because
that's not stopped literally any other NBA.
No, so one of the things one of the reasons they thought it was religious reasons is because obviously he used the term God and then said Allah, so they thought that he might be using he might be taking the time off because he might be starting Ramadan and therefore fasting, etc. And that if that happened, that might require some time for him to adapt and sort his stuff out.
I'm pretty sure though, there's more than just
there's multiple.
Kyrie
there's multiple
in the NBA.
There's more. Yes, there's a lot, but obviously people were like, maybe that is the reason, and it's just a personal day.
But then people also thought that it's because of the shooting of Dante Wright.
Yeah.
Which again, I guess so is fair, but that game was postponed anyway.
Yeah.
For that, and also Kyrie was said to be out of that game before that happened. Yeah. So the only reasonable thing is that it's. Well, what was it? What did he say it was for? It was for personal reasons or something?
Yes, it was listed as personal reasons.
Personal reasons? Yeah, so it could have been, it was that thing with Dennis, surely, with Dennis Schroeder. It must have been with that thing with Dennis Schroeder, which makes me upset because no one talks about this enough. But Kyrie had personal days off earlier in the year and he got caught at a party and then he had to have 7 days off for COVID protocols for personal reasons. He had 7... for personal reasons. Also, he was off for family matters during his birthday. Like, there's a line.
So
I understand.
Kyrie has missed 8 games this season for personal reasons.
Yep. And then, I understand. Yeah, sometimes you can get stressed and all that kind of stuff, and you want to deal with your own things and family and stuff like that. But this is unprecedented.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Especially when you've been caught before at a party during these times, and then you have to waste. Yeah, right. It's 8 games, but then there was that 7-day period where he's been off with COVID protocols because of him being caught on those days.
So it's 8 games just listed as personal reasons. I don't even know how many others are listed for other things.
Exactly, and that's just ridiculous. And then we move on to KD the next day. So Shannon Sharpe on the first take, right? First take, yeah.
Undisputed,
sorry. On Undisputed, said something that just KD didn't say. I still haven't looked it up.
So don't worry. I have so what Shannon Sharpe said is, so they were talking. This actually dates back to last week when KD said they didn't care about the rings in that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what Shannon Sharpe has said is, look, obviously we know you care about the rings. That's how you judge yourself upon the, you're comparing yourself to LeBron. And then Shannon Sharpe, he quoted a fake quote because it's something that's gone around that was it. So it said that KD said that, look, if LeBron's the man, I went into his arena and won 2 championships, like what does that make me? Which obviously would be, obviously playing on the KD LeBron rivalry, and obviously it's been attributed as a fake quote. It's just something that went around, it went viral, and people were like, oh, he said this, and obviously he hadn't. But it's something that's been seen, and obviously when you're on social media, a lot of the times you see these quotes, and you just kind of go with them, and like you don't always have the time to fact check and go in the background.
I feel like there's people behind the scenes for Shannon doing fact checking.
I know, and I think I think is
he hasn't got the time to do fact checking.
I know, but the thing is, so obviously this is something sin, but also it's not unlike things that KD has said already. Like the KD has said things like this publicly, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that And obviously, you refer to this quote. Originally, KD then retweeted and said, "Look, I never said that quote. I'm tired of people saying that I've said this and that." Shannon Sharp replied and kind of hit him with the like it's actually that deep, relax. And then KD carried on with the at that point, that's when KD said he was going to instigate everything this week, and he just decided to say that what did he say? Let me find these tweets because it's just stupid.
He just kept on attacking Shannon, and Shannon.
He said the gullible fans will believe it or say he was thinking this anyway. It's comedy at this point. At that point, I'm not gonna lie, I understood why KD would be upset. Because obviously this is playing off the KD versus LeBron rivalry that we know is actually quite. And then obviously he carried on. So then Shannon replied to him and said, "Look, I don't do this social media thing. If you want to have a conversation, then you've got my number. We can just talk." He said, I'm not hard to find, but I'm not going back and forth on social media. Whatever our differences are, they can be handled out of the eye of social media. And then KD carried on. He said, "We can talk in front of everybody. You go in TV pushing fake shit, but now you want to talk in private while you're lying on TV. These people need help." Then Shannon Sharp blocked him because he just couldn't be bothered. And KD replied, "But I'm sensitive." And then KD spent about 3 or 4 tweets attacking Shannon Sharp because people called him Unk. And he was like, "How dare you call a man Unk?" And it was a whole thing.
I didn't know that bit. That's weird.
Yeah, he said, and I quote, "How dare..." Oh my God, I've lost it because fuck it. He said, "How are you calling a grown man Unk just because he's on TV?"
Kind of the point.
He's suspect. This is suspect. Have some respect for your real uncle. And then he said, "Unk's a bitch" at one point. And then he said,
sorry, what do they call what's Kyrie's character again called?
Uncle again? True. Yeah, Unk.
Yeah.
Then he said, "Y'all drunk uncle out here lying again." And it's like,
so he's doing it too.
Yeah, he said, "You're drunk uncle." But yeah.
Oh, right. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, media. I actually haven't looked up this quote either. Like, the thing that it's sourced at is a massive fucking podcast. So I don't know. I feel like if it was a quote that KD said, someone would have found a soundbite of it by now.
Yeah, I think. I believe that he didn't say it,
or it's taken out of context or something like that.
Yeah, I know. I believe that, and I think it's one of them where it can be tough.
But I was with KD. I was KD being upset about, "No, this is fake, man." But and then Shannon was just like, "Let's talk in private about this, then. Like, come on, let's talk in private. So let's talk about," which is exactly what Shannon said about the whole Michael Rappaport thing, because he said about Michael Rappaport thing that he didn't agree with what KD said, but he didn't also agree with how Michael Rappaport just put it all over social media. He wanted it in private, and that's consistent with what Shannon Sharp's been saying about these kind of things.
Yeah, I think that's how adults deal with it.
And KD kept on going at him. He's like, "Look, if you're not going to talk to me, then he's probably annoyed with all these people like mentioning KD in his mentions, and just like, I'm just tired of this. I'm not dealing with this right now. If you want to talk to me.
Here's the original quote.
He also said, "You have my number." He probably didn't block his actual number.
So yeah, that was the original quote, and obviously it's one of them that, unless you've watched the podcast or whatever, listen, but it's something that's gone around, and I think Shannon Sharp's been very consistent with the idea that, look, like there is a way. I know
he's always prided himself on like being able to talk to players about problems and stuff as well.
I think it's a consistent thing, and I don't know. It definitely goes back to a past generation of sports stars who look. If I say something to you publicly and you don't agree with it, you reach out to me privately. You say something, we have that conversation, and then look, if I need to apologize or say something, then I'll talk to you about it. It's the same thing I've seen Stephen A. do. A lot of people do it's especially when you're an analysis. There's a lot of things you say that might rub people up the wrong way. And
also, I'd like to mention there was that one video that I showed you before about what's his face. He was being asked to talk about someone, but he didn't want to talk about him, so he just went off on a tangent.
Oh yeah, the Trae Young stuff.
So, So how do we not know that? Because they had that graphic.
Yeah.
It's just like Shannon mentioned this as part of your.
The thing is, I think realistically, what people have to understand is not only this isn't sports news. A lot of these TV shows are sports entertainment, and you have to say shit. They want you to say shit that is going to get a click. Like Skip Bayless does not hate LeBron, but he knows that his role within a TV show is to say the things that will get clips. And obviously,
honestly, if you want actual basketball analysis, do not watch these shows.
Yeah, because it's not
they're
about
fun and they're entertaining, but you don't want to watch these shows.
Any show that is centered around debate.
It's a debate. Yeah.
Anything that's centered around debate means that you have to have two sides to an argument.
Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, okay.
Cowherd, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, I ignore him. But these debate shows are centered around debate, meaning that even on some issues when you agree with things, you have to then oppose it just because that gives you the content to talk about things. And I think with the KD thing, if that quote comes up, knowing that quote is putting him against LeBron means that, if it comes to an undisputed, which side of the take each side of them are going to take, and that's what they have to do to create entertainment. It's an entertainment-based show. That's why I think when you say, okay, talk to me in private, I think that's when you can say things that,
especially like he can explain like, look, there was a graphic and it was the only thing I could really, I had to talk about it. Like, I don't do fact checking, especially with such limited time. Like, I'm very sorry. I can publicly apologize. I can only publicly apologize to this, but let's talk this out first. Yeah, and I feel like Katie had a point, and then
it's all the time. He always has a good start to it, and then it's like, so you remember, LeBron went to Miami, and he tried to be the bad guy for a bit.
Yeah.
Because, he feels like the media, the world hate me. I'm maybe the bad guy. And then he realized it didn't work for him.
Mm-hmm.
That feels like what KD's doing now. It feels like he's trying to be this guy who's like, oh, I'm a kid. I mean, I'm not going to lie. His Twitter career stats, clearly
do you want to
higher than...
Yeah, so what was his career stats again, Davian? Like, he
let me pull this up.
He's
got more tweets. He's got more tweets than he does career points. So KD has, he's let more tweets fly than he has buckets. He's got 24.2 thousand tweets, which in itself is insane because he got his Twitter after he joined the league.
Yeah. He also, in amongst those tweets, is one to Scarlett Johansson saying that he'd drink her bath water. So I never forget that.
Yeah, that's
free in my head.
So 24.2 thousand, so 24,200 career tweets. Because at this point, it's a career for him, and 23,586 career points.
But how much does LeBron have? Like 7,600.
I'll double check. It was around that. Let me double check. Let's see if he's tweeted in the last. So LeBron has 7,666 tweets.
All right, there you go. I told you. And now, can you tell me how many Kawhi has, please?
I'm not sure this is a count, to be honest. Kawhi has 4.
I'm not gonna lie. If it went 5, because last time we checked it was 4.
No, he hasn't tweeted since July 7th.
He
hasn't tweeted since July 7th, 2015. When he tweeted, he tweeted twice and then said, "Nah, I'm good."
I'm all social media out, guys. Twice.
The thing about
he doesn't even have like a guy doing social media for him.
No.
Like,
And the thing is, his 4 posts. The first one is him meeting Barack Obama, literally for like, I'm assuming when they won the championship, to visit the fucking president. Yeah, so that trip. The second one is him doing I think it's a sponsored post of him shooting at Top Golf and saying, "Oh, check out Top Golf." The third one is saying, "Look at this custom hoverboard for Kawhi Leonard. It's coming soon." And the fourth one is a retweet that just said, "Look, it's a retweet of someone else saying, 'Thanks for coming by, Kawhi Leonard, to the Aztec facilities and operations.'" So,
and that's it.
I think it's a difference in social media. It's the way KD tweets sometimes is that he is like, obviously when he first joined the league, I remember he was tweeting reckless, and I think he was tweeting LeBron like he was tweeting like, and obviously like Scarlett Johansson bathwater stuff, and so he's always been reckless on Twitter. But right now, I really think this is the time he says, how about we just not reply to everything that we see the second we get it, like, especially when you're in it, like, I think I found the most interesting. I found the most interesting that it's when everyone was tweeting stuff about obviously Marcus Aldridge, and there was nothing from KD, and I was like, you tweet all day.
Mad. Okay, that is crazy. That is insane.
I'm gonna check if he has, but yeah, no, he hasn't, because literally about the time it came out, he tweeted about well deserved to Smith to Nolan Smith for getting the assistant coach at Duke, but he didn't tweet anything about Marcus Aldridge while everyone else was, and I was like, that's a bit weird. And then he didn't tweet anything at all since, even though he's had about 50 tweets since. But yeah.
Wow.
I was like, I was like, okay. I mean, I kind of expect you, put something, but
apparently not. But yeah, so that's what's happened in the Brooklyn KD Kyrie. Who's gonna fuck up first this time?
I don't know. I think
it's gonna be
Harden's probably coming back, so not him.
Nah, but he's
I'm gonna say Kyrie's probably gonna be personal belief till next week, so we could. I'm gonna say KD again. You'll find a way.
No, I was gonna say I'm my bet's on KD first this week. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it from us.
Wait, I've got one question.
Okay.
Quick one.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about Miami Heat right now? Because Jimmy Butler has been saying that you might have been playing soft, and
I agree.
And Gutler, and I'm like, yo, I want to.
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying that he's saying you guys have been playing soft. You've kind of fallen down the table a little. Like, you're closer to you're in the play-ins at the moment. How are you feeling?
I feel fine.
You still confident? Still good?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident.
Okay,
I feel okay.
That's it. I just wanted to check. Little check-in.
Nah, I feel like as long as we make in the playing tournament, it's fine. Like,
okay.
I feel pretty confident with my team. That soon as go time is go time, it's go time.
I'm only saying that because your next game's the Nets, and I'm interested to see.
I feel like we're out for blood. If we win,
you've lost 3 in a row. You lost to the Timberwolves, so that's why it's a bit like.
Is it tonight?
It's tonight at 8:30, so it's about to
8:30 our time.
Our time, I think.
Oh, you know, I'm watching that.
But yeah, that was it. That was just my little. Just wanted to make sure you. I like to check in with the Heat and I like to check in and make sure the Heat fans are still, because
we've been very streaky. I don't like it. There's not been really much consistency, but I don't know whether it's because we start going on a win streak, and then we go on a win streak, and then we get complacent, and then someone will go on will have a break. Jimmy's had quite a lot of rest days this year, so it's not really been that consistent in that respect. But I feel confident. I feel like, we were the 5th seed last year. And it's very tight up there this year. Like, we could still end up, like, we're only
2 games back.
2 games from the 5th seed. 2.5 games from the 4th seed. So it's all to play for still.
Well, look, as long as you're so confident, then
I'm confident.
It's all good here.
I feel pretty confident. Yeah. I'm gonna be watching that game.
So am I. I beg you, man, win. But yeah, that's good. That's it for me.
All right, well, let's take a timeout then, David. Timeout. Dunzo.